Hey team, Yasin here, and in this training we are going to be going over the entire training step by step when it comes to identifying and pulling out the pain of the people that you're going to be serving and the market that you're going to be serving. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and ask the first question, which is, hey, what is pain? Like, we're talking about pain. Like, pain's a very powerful word. Other than the fact that it is a word that starts with the letter P that goes well with the 4P framework. Well, what exactly are we talking about here? So pain is the second of the 4Ps in the 4P process of getting your spice messaging put together, right? So we've already talked about people, and we talked about the importance of picking your people, picking your market, your dream client, your dream customer, right? And so now inside of this training, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking down exactly how to pinpoint what is the pain of the people of your market, okay? And then obviously from there, we're going to go ahead and then talk about paradise, and then we're going to talk about process. Now, in terms of zooming out, just so you know where we are at, right? It's very important to understand how this entire process works, is that right now we're working on the level 1 spice messaging, right? That's what we're talking about right now. And the reason why this is critical is because this is going to be the foundation of your marketing message. This is what everything sits on top of, right? Because after that, you're going to go out there, you're going to set up your community, do the kickoff, you're going to create a free valuable asset. You're going to be able to give away that free valuable asset via paid and organic marketing and ads. But at the end of the day, all of these are just the tactics, right? It's very, very easy and executable to go ahead and execute on this, but it all sits on the foundation of the 4P process and specifically your messaging. And so to go ahead and answer the question of when we talk about pain, what are we talking about specifically, right? When we talk about pain, what we're talking about is figuring out, hey, what are the problems of this market? What are the struggles? What are the frustrations? What are the limiting beliefs, the pain points, the obstacles, right? What are the things that these people, right, my market has already tried, right? What are the things that they tried and why didn't it work for them, right? How is all of these above, right? How are the problems, struggles, and frustrations? How is that affecting their life negatively, right? What is the market currently experiencing in life because of this pain, right? What is this pain causing them to experience in their life, right? How does having this pain in their life right now actually make them feel? And then on top of that, and this is arguably probably the most important thing, which is, hey, we got to be able to communicate all of that in the terms, the jargon, the words, the phrases that they use in order to be able to describe it themselves, right? So all of this, it's one thing to be able to first identify it, right? Because that 99% of all of the beginner newbies and the entrepreneurs and the remote wellness practitioners and the coaches that are out there aren't even pinpointing what it is. But then it's a different level, which you're going to learn about. And this is why you're going to be light years ahead of every single other person in the marketplace, is because you're then going to learn how to be able to communicate this in the words of your market, as well as all of the other topics that are related to this, okay? So this is what we're referring to when we say, hey, you got to get clear and specific on the pain. We're talking about the problems and the struggles, okay? And the reason why this is so critical is because if you don't know what the pain that your people, that your market is going through, and be able to communicate that in their own words, then the question is, how in the world are you going to be able to create a marketing message for them that is going to attract you, so that way they think and they perceive and they know that what it is that you are offering is far superior than everybody else in the market. And so when you get specific on what this pain is that your market is actually experiencing, then what's happening is that you're able to go ahead and target the exact people who are experiencing that exact pain. And then what that allows you to do, it allows you to be able to productize your entire business. It allows you to productize your entire career. And the reason why it allows you to do that is because you can then create a factory assembly line, like a conveyor belt, like a pipeline that allows you to rinse and repeat, right? Your lead generation, your lead nurture, your sales, fulfillment, all of what we're talking about, right? The pain, as well as the people, and then the paradise, and then the process, that's what's creating that conveyor belt that allows you to literally be able to rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And that is how you get predictability, and that is how you scale, because then you're able to hire coaches underneath you. You're able to go ahead and have other people that are working within your organization, and you're able to have that consistency because the organization is consistent, and all of that stems from the very beginning of the foundations of your business in the first place, which is consistent people, consistent pain, consistent paradise, and consistent process. And so the reason why all of this is important, as you're starting to see, right? This is all very important. The reason why this is all important is because once you have actually gone ahead and identified who are the people that I'm going to serve, which at this point, if you don't have that, you need to make sure that you go ahead and do that before you actually get into this specific training, right? But obviously this is assuming you've already done that, right? The people are going to be the people that are in the market that you're going to be building this entire marketing message around, right? And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling the pain points of the problems that they have. And your goal, your objective is to create a marketing message that is going to attract the prospects inside of the marketplace that you have chosen. Okay, so what I want you to imagine, and we talked about this in previous and other trainings where it was kind of just something that you're going to imagine, but I want you to actually go ahead and see, this is a diagram and an illustration that we've put together so you guys can really understand this, right? Is that like this right here, this is your chosen market, okay? There are hundreds and millions of different markets that are out there, right? But this is essentially how they are all working. If you took a magnifying glass, right? If you're able to have like an X-ray vision into seeing what the markets look like, this is what it would look like, right? Is that you have all of these people who are solution providers, okay? These are all of the competitors, the players in the space, people who are offering the same thing to the same group of people that you are targeting, okay? And then you have over here your shop, right? This is who you are, and you just set up shop. And what you're going to notice on here is that all of these people have different offers and messaging, right? Offers and messaging, offers and messaging, offers and messaging. But you're going to notice that a lot of them don't have anybody that is coming to them, right? And yet there are some people, right? There's some individuals, some solution providers, some competitors, some players, whatever you want to call them, in the marketplace that are getting a crazy amount of traffic. A crazy amount of people are coming to them, consumers, prospects, whatever it might be, right? That must mean that their offer and their messaging is attracting people in the marketplace, right? And then there's some people who are getting some people there, and then some people who have even less people there, right? And then there's just people here who aren't being served, and there are other people who are just buyers who have already purchased and are good to go and are very happy customers, right? And so this is the chosen marketplace, right? Regardless of if that chosen marketplace is you're going to help independent mothers, you're going to help people with type 2 diabetes, you're going to help Muslim women, like whatever it is, the market that you're going to help, okay? And inside of this market, you have the solution providers, okay? And then you have all of the other people. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be crafting an offer and a message that is going to go ahead and attract your people, right? The people in the marketplace that are going to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go over to this person instead of going to any one of these other solution providers. And so as you're going to notice, and you're going to see this as a theme that we go over and over again, which is that you need to make sure that you are always keeping an eye on the market, because if you don't keep an eye on the market, you won't know what your people are already being exposed to. And if you don't know what they're being exposed to, then you can't actually craft a marketing message that is going to be different than the rest of the market. And so this is what we talk about when we talk about, hey, we're going to go ahead and start pulling out the pain points of our chosen market. Who is our chosen market? It's all of the people who have these pain points in here. These are all of the people, right? This is what we're going to be pulling the pain points out from, okay? And then when we say specifically, why is it the pain that is important, right? We say pain, but why is the pain that's important? The reason why the pain is important is because the problems that the market is facing is what creates the pain. And so the objective of all of business, right? The objective of all of the exchange of money is one thing. And that one thing is to solve problems. That one thing is what? It's to solve problems. Now, I know there's some people out there who have unfortunately, very limiting beliefs when it comes to, business is selfish and business is greedy and money is bad and all this kind of stuff. But if you truly understand how money works and how business works, it's all just about solving problems. And this is why being an entrepreneur, being a coach, being a remote wellness practitioner is so amazing, because at the core of what it is that you do is that you solve problems for people. You deliver value to individuals, right? So you have the problem that you solve. The problem that you solve is what creates the value that you deliver. And then what you are doing is that you are being able to charge a percentage of the value that you are delivering, right? And so if you deliver a small amount of value, you can only charge a small amount. And so the better you become at being able to deliver value, the better you become at being able to solve problems, the better you become at being able to help your people get from their current situation to their desired situation, okay? Because that's what it is. This gap is what creates what we're talking about here: people, pain, paradise, process, right? This gap is the obstacle that they need to overcome in order to solve their problem and get to their desired situation. This is how they get to their paradise. And so this is what we're talking about when we talk about the pain. And so unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, what ends up happening is that the human brain is programmed and conditioned to run away from pain more than it is to run towards pleasure. And so identifying what the pain that your people are running away from allows you to then be able to uncover the problems, and then you're going to then go ahead and communicate to them, hey, these are your problems, these are your pain points, XYZ, this is how I'm going to be able to help you, right? And so what that means is that in order to actually make sure that your marketing message gets noticed in the marketplace, what we got to do is we got to make sure that we hit on the exact pain points that the market is feeling. This is what they say when the copywriters and the marketers say, hey, you got to tap into the conversation that is already happening inside the prospect's mind. This is what we're talking about, right? We got to make sure that we are using the exact words and how you express those issues and those pain and those problems that the market is going through. That's everything. Because remember, we've talked about this many times before, is that words are just labeled thoughts, right? How you speak is how you think. And so what words you communicate to others are the words that other people are going to think. And so inside of this training and throughout the rest of the sections inside of this training, what you're going to be learning is how to be able to go deep into the mind of your chosen market, of your people. You're going to go ahead and learn how to be able to tap into the inner motivations, their fears, their struggles, right? Because your goal throughout this training is to uncover a level of understanding of your chosen market, of your people, that they themselves would not realize about themselves. You're going to be going into their subconscious. Why? Because when you get into their subconscious, right, and you actually start to talk to them about their pain points, their problems, that they themselves were not able to properly put into words, right? They thought about it a little bit. It was underneath the surface, but you brought it to the surface, right? Because you went so deep into their pain points and studying them and understanding their psychology and understanding their situation and understanding where they are. And what you're doing is you're bringing that to the forefront of your mind. And guess what happens when you do that? What happens when you do that is that you go ahead and actually attract people to your shop. When you actually go ahead and properly communicate the pain points of the market in their language, you now have, this is your new shop that you're setting up, right? And your offer and messaging is so accurate that it resonates. It's kind of like, when you go ahead and have that radio dial that you're go ahead and resonating the frequency, right? You're resonating the frequency and you're communicating exactly the same way that they think. You're putting into words exactly the same way that they feel and what they are experiencing. When you do that, you get all of these crowds coming over to your store. And then guess what? What you're going to learn later on inside of this training is that the reason why we got to study the marketplace is because those individuals in the marketplace, those solution providers, right? Those competitors, those players in the marketplace that are actually successful, they're not going to be successful unless their messaging is actually resonating, is actually hitting their pain points. And so we can actually learn a lot, a significant amount, just by looking at the marketplace. Okay, hey, this store right here, it looks like they got some like dark blue offer and messaging, right? And that dark blue offer and messaging, they must be hitting some sort of pain points. They must be talking to the market in a way that is actually resonating. Well, guess what? We can learn from that. We can study that. In the same way, you see this store over here, hey, they got a light blue offer and messaging, right? It's a little bit different than this one, but they got a good amount of people here. We can learn from that. We can study from that, right? Over here, apparently the green offer and messaging, hey, that's working as well. But you know what we got to stay away from? We got to stay away from the red ones, because the red ones, guess what? They got no traffic coming to them, right? They just aren't successful. And so what we're doing is we're looking at the marketplace, we're getting deep into the subconscious, not only by looking at the players, but also studying, hey, what are the actual people saying? Because sometimes what ends up happening is that if you just look at the marketplace competitors and the players, you're not going to be able to go ahead and outperform them. So what you got to do is you got to actually look at, hey, look at the comment section of videos. You got to look at, hey, what are people saying is their problem? You got to look at the forums. You got to look at the Facebook groups. Where are the people congregating and what are they saying are their pain points? Yes, we can learn from looking at the competitors and the players in the marketplace, right? Yes, we're going to learn a lot as an entry point. But at the same time, we have to be keeping a pulse on, especially when we're starting out, right? Maybe you don't have as many customers and clients who are in the target market yet. Obviously, once you start getting more customers and clients, you can just survey your people, because your people are a segment of the market and they are inside of your store, right? Once they actually become customers inside of your store, guess what you do? You just ask them, hey, all those people out there, they're all just like you. Can you tell me a little bit more about what those people are struggling? And so all of a sudden you now have like a portal and a gate into the people. But again, this is what it looks like when we talk about being able to get into the psychology and the mind of your prospects. And so when we say that this is going to be absolutely gold for you when you're putting together your offer, your messaging, your marketing and sales, this is what we're talking about, right? When you actually have a specific group of people, you've identified them, demographics, psychographics, you know who they are, their age groups, XYZ, you know their pain points, their problems, all of that. You know the results and outcomes in the paradise that you want to get to. And now you're crafting your process, your marketing message, your spice framework, your unique mechanism all around that I'm telling you right now, it's going to be impossible for you not to be successful because you're doing the entire process properly. And I'm telling you right now, there's literally nobody else in the market. Like I'm talking about 99% plus of all of the other solution providers that are in the market, right? The vast majority of them struggle because they don't have the right mental models and the right frameworks to understand what it is that we're talking about. We have spent an egregious amount of time, I'm telling you, an insane amount of time, not only learning these, applying them for ourselves, but then being able to put them in simple to understand frameworks. That is what you are getting on a silver platter for you to go out there and be absolutely successful with this. Okay. And so this has been this section inside of the training, which is what is pain and the overview of what we're talking about when we talk about pain and the importance of it as well. So if you do have any questions about anything that we talked about or discussed inside of this training or inside of this section, make sure you do go ahead and let us know inside of the student community. You can go ahead and use the comment section down below. So that way we'll keep all of the comments for this specific training organized right underneath this training. And so with that being said, I'm excited to go ahead and dive into this strategy and talk to you more about exactly how we're going to be uncovering the pain for your marketplace. I will catch you inside of the next section. All right, team, welcome to this section training, which is going to be the pain web and the strategy, and specifically the mindset to understand behind the tactics. Okay, this is going to be very important to understand because if you don't understand and you don't grasp what it is that we're going to talk about inside of this section of this training, then any tactics that you use to uncover the pain of your marketplace is not going to be successful. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the very first thing that I need you to understand is that average solution providers, average marketers, average products, and average entrepreneurs, what they do is that they only ever look at the surface level problems and the surface level pain of the marketplace and of the people. What they do is they think, you know what? When they come down to sit down and they're going to craft a marketing message, or they're going to craft a product, they're going to craft an offer, what they do is they say, you know what? I'm going to create a product, an offer, a message that is going to solve this visible problem, right? They're going to solve the problem that is on the surface of the people and the prospect, right? And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why the average individual, the average solution provider that is in business does not actually make that much money in the marketplace. Bottom line. And so I told you in the last training, the reason why we're giving you this on a silver platter and the reason why you're going to be so many light years ahead of everybody else who is out there trying to compete in the marketplace is because you are going to understand this at such an intricate level that is going to literally allow you to be able to be like a freaking PhD individual, especially when you go out there and put in the reps of this. It's going to absolutely pay dividends for you, right? Because what we're talking about here is that these solution providers, right? These solution providers that are in your marketplace, right? Well, guess what? They got nobody coming to them, right? And even then, like these guys, they don't have like that many people, right? This guy's absolutely crushing it. But the vast majority of those that are in the marketplace are not crushing it. And the reason they're not crushing it is because what they do is they say, you know what? We're going to go ahead and build an offer and build a marketing message and build our spice and build our messaging and build our product around the visible problem, right? And so what happens is that where so few solution providers in the market think that they should go or even know that they should go is that they don't understand that they actually need to go deeper than the surface level problem that exists. Because in order to be successful with your marketing message, what has to happen is that you must go to the level of what we call the pain web, okay? You got to go to the level of the pain web because inside of your marketing message, you have to be able to go layers and layers and layers deeper than what it is that you thought. And so let me explain to you what the pain web actually is, right? So you see this diagram that we've gone ahead and put together for you. Again, I told you, we've put an egregious amount of time in creating frameworks that are going to be easy for you to be able to comprehend, and yet they're going to be able to pay dividends for you for the rest of your career. So pay attention with me here, okay? In the middle, you have your people, you have your market, you have your dream customer, right? That's what you have right here. And what they are doing is they are wrapped inside of the pain web, okay? And the pain web has multiple levels, right? There's the surface level pain. We're going to talk more about about that in just a second. There's the experienced pain. There is the emotional pain, okay? And what you're doing is you're getting the entry point of what you help them with, and we're going to have an example here in just a second. But let's say, for example, you help somebody lose a couple pounds, right? Sure, that might be one dimension of health, right? But what you're doing in the pain web is you're wrapping that problem. You're wrapping that problem in how it affects every single dimension and every single domain of their life and their wellness. How does it affect their mental health? How is it affecting their relationships? How is it affecting their relationship with their marriage, their relationship with their kids? How is it affecting their ability to show up in wealth-generating conversations? How is it affecting their body image and their confidence? How is it affecting their connection to something greater and the purpose of their life and what it is that they want to do? And so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about wrapping the problem in the pain web. Not only in the surface visible problems are we talking about. You are understanding the strategy behind this. So that way when you get into the tactics, you understand exactly how all of this is going to work. What you are doing with the pain web is you're bringing to the surface in your messaging, right? In your marketing, what you're doing is you're bringing to the surface what are the painful consequences that are going to be racing towards your people, your chosen market, if they don't actually take action and they don't actually change, okay? And this is not just like, hey, you might face these consequences. When you dive deep into the pain web, what you are doing is you're bringing to the surface the absolute, the guaranteed painful consequences that is going to happen to the marketplace if they don't actually change. You are going to make it so blatantly obvious and clear to the market in your marketing message, okay? You're going to make it so obvious in your marketing message that this is guaranteed to what is going to happen to your people if they don't actually change. Well, guess what happens when you utilize the pain web? They're going to change. They're going to take it more seriously, right? But when you try to do it on the surface level, it's like, that's kind of like surface level pain. That's like a surface level problem. Like the thing that you're going to understand about humans is that we have this brain that doesn't actually like to take action. And unless we wrap the problems in the pain web, unless we actually make it a painful consequence and we make it blatantly obvious and clear that this painful consequence is guaranteed to happen, human beings are not going to take action. Your market is not going to take action. Your market is not going to take the action that is required for them to actually change. And guess what we're going to do? We're not only going to be doing this inside of the domain that we're going to be primarily helping them with. No. What we're going to do is we're actually going to be doing this in all 4 domains of wellness, in all 4 dimensions of wellness. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going deep within each of those 4 domains. So not only are we going to connect their problem, in just a second, you're going to see what I mean by this. I know I'm saying a bunch of words right now. It's a little bit abstract. We're going to go ahead and give examples to make it absolutely clear in just a second. But what we're doing is we're taking the problem and we're going to connect it to the 4 domains of wellness, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go deep within each of those through different levels of pain as well, okay? And so let's go ahead and talk about this and make this a little bit more practical and tangible for you, okay? So the 2 ways that you're going to be using the pain web in your messaging, okay? Number 1 is you're going to be linking the problem to multiple domains of wellness. And then number 2 is you're going to be then going deeper into the levels of pain, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about each of those right now and give you an example of this. So number 1, pain web and the domains of wellness. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a surface level pain, a surface level problem, okay? Let's say, for example, there is a gentleman or a woman, whoever it might be, and they're struggling with, let's say, for example, they're struggling with their health, okay? And they say, you know what? I want to lose a couple pounds. I want to lose a few pounds. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If I do it, I do it. If I don't do it, it's just a couple pounds, right? The doctor says I got bad health. The doctor says, you know what? I'm going to be diabetic or I'm pre-diabetic. The doctor says, you know what? I might even die. But here's the crazy thing about it. Humans are very, very funny creatures. Even if the doctor says I'm going to die, but guess what, man? Those habits are tough to break. But guess what, man? That those chips are so good, that Coke is so good, whatever it is, right? And so sometimes for some people in the marketplace, even if the doctor says I'm going to die, it still might be surface level. It still might not be enough pain. Because why? Because I'm going to die may not be communicated in a way that is actually understandable for the prospect. It might not be communicated in a deep, deep, deep way and connected to all 4 domains of wellness. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and take this surface level pain and now go ahead and connect it to the other domains of wellness. Let's go ahead and do that. And so let's go ahead and make this blatantly clear for our market, for our people, and let's go ahead and talk to them, right? So we say, hey, the fact that you are 110 pounds overweight, guess what it has begun to do? It has begun to actually affect other areas of your health. How, you might ask, Mr. or Mrs. XYZ, right? The reason, let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about your marriage, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about pulling those consequences. I'm talking to you as a student right now. Let's go ahead and pull those consequences of them not taking their health seriously and connecting it and linking it to their marriage. Well, guess what? Let's say it's a man. A man that is 110 pounds overweight, guess what he doesn't have? He probably doesn't have an intimate life, right? I'm telling you right now, okay, as a married man, and you can ask a married woman as well, right? If a married woman is taking care of herself, she's fit, right? She's in her place, right? Do you think that she's actually turned on and she's actually attracted by her man who is actually not taking care of himself? Right? And so now if his partner is not attracted to him, well, guess what that's doing? It's causing confusion and lack of confidence in him. He doesn't have an intimate life, right? And so what's happening is that his marriage is falling apart because of the fact that he has not committed to changing his body. Now, obviously that's on the male example. You can flip that and talk about on the female example, right? What about the relationship with their kids, right? Your children are becoming obese just like you because of the fact that you're not taking care of your health, right? You could end up taking a gun and putting it at the head of your children. And if you did that, people would come in and go through social services and put you in jail. However, you keep on pulling through McDonald's and taking your children in the back seat, and they are learning habits that are now torturing them because of the fact that they are getting overweight. And so now your obesity has become second generation. You are now teaching and torturing your children and their children. And so now it's not just you who is suffering, it's the people that you love, because you probably love your kids, right? You probably love your kids, but you're torturing them and you're teaching them ways that they are suffering because of that. You see how now it's becoming more painful inside of the pain web? You see now how we're linking it to different domains of wellness? What about their wealth? Well, guess what? A man who has body image issues, the way that he shows up, well, that's affecting his ability to be able to have conversations around business, around wealth, around production, right? Around conversations that he's having around income and productivity. His output is not the same because of the fact that he's allowing his body to fall apart, right? You can have that same conversation on the female side. I'm talking about the male side because I know sometimes in the weight loss or health market, we don't talk to the men's side enough. So that's why I'm using it as the example right now, okay? Then what about the impact to something greater, right? What about the purpose of life, right? Your spirituality, your connection to God, your sense of purpose, your connection to something that you are on this planet for. Because of the fact that you're not taking care of yourself, you're not able to show up as the best version of yourself in every area of life. And so now when we're linking this to multiple domains, we're extracting the higher level pain. And we're going ahead and not just talking about the surface problems. We're not just talking about the surface level pain. We're connecting it to every single domain of this person's wellness. And now all of a sudden, it has been magnified. And guess what? That is just the first way that you can go ahead and use the pain web is linking it to the different domains of wellness. The second way that you can go ahead and use the pain web is being able to now understand the levels of pain, because then you can now magnify after you've connected it to other domains of wellness, but now you can go deep within each of those problems, okay? And specifically, there are 3 levels on here that we've gone ahead and designed for you, is that there's surface level pain, there's experienced pain, and then there is emotional pain, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about surface level pain. Surface level pain is like, hey, I need to lose a few pounds. Surface level. Not that great. What is the experienced pain, right? What are they actually experiencing as a result of that problem? What is the day-to-day experience that they're having? Well, hey, I can't fit into my old clothes anymore. Forget the old clothes. I can't fit into my current clothes anymore, right? Hey, people are asking me if I've actually gained weight. Those are the experiences that they are having as a result of the problem they are having. We're going deeper now into it, right? And remember, this is only just one domain. You can connect it to other domains. What are they experiencing in their relationships? What are they experiencing in their wealth? What are they experiencing in their connection to something greater, okay? And then the third level is hey, what about the emotional pain? How are they feeling as a result of those experiences? You see how we went another layer deeper there? It's like, hey, I'm feeling ashamed and embarrassed instead of confident. You see how it impacts even deeper? It hits deeper, right? That visceral emotional reaction, that comes as a result of you being able to actually communicate the emotions, the internal struggles and the fears and the internal battles that the prospect and the market is having. When you actually communicate that and you put that into words, because for them, it's just an emotion. They feel it, right? They've never even been able to put it into words. But guess who's putting it into words? You are. You're putting it into words and you're communicating it in a way that the market is resonating with it, right? You feel like you want to go hide and you don't even want to go out. You feel ashamed and you don't want to go out to that social circle. And then now it goes ahead and goes from the emotion to the experience. And so all of that now connects because you're going layers deeper into the pain. And so when you combine both the domains of wellness and the levels of pain within each of those problems, guess what happens? The number of pain points that you can pull out and identify that the person is going through becomes unlimited, because now you can actually identify, right, multiple pains within the different domains, okay? And then within each of those, you can now go in at the surface, at the experience and the emotional levels. And so now you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so now you understand when we talk about the mindset and the strategy, before we get to the tactics, I need you to be able to understand this, is because this is how deep you can actually go when we talk about the pain and being able to pull out the pain points of your market. Do you now see? Yes, it is work. Guess what? We talk about doing the dang work. Yes, there is work involved and you're going to have time to do it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, about not being overwhelmed by this. But what I'm trying to open your eyes to understand here is, do you understand how much pre-work goes in? Because the later on success, the tactics, that's the easy part. This is where the actual work comes in. Because if you get it right over here, then the rest of it becomes effortless. But most beginners and most unfortunate newbies, right, who don't understand this and they want to end up becoming failure uniform students and want to become limbic la lose, is they think, oh, you know what, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to do most of the time later on, right? When I get over to the tactics, that's where I'm going to spend most of my time, right? The tactics, I'm going to do I got to run more ads. I got to do more funnels. I got to do more sales. I got to do all this kind of stuff, right? This is the tactics over here, right? But we're talking about, we're talking about the spice, the messaging, right? That's what we're talking about over here. If you put more work over here, this takes care of itself. It becomes effortless. And so now you understand why the vast majority of solution providers out there struggle, is because they are spending all of their time over here and they don't understand this. And when you put in the work on this side of the equation, you understand how all of this works, trust me, I'm telling you right now, everything else is going to take care of itself, because everything that ever you are going to use on this side is going to be staring back at you right in the face right here on this side, which is the spice messaging side of things. And so I hope your eyes are being opened to seeing how powerful this actually is, right? Because no longer using what it is that we just talked about is any of this a surface problem pain of, hey, I need to lose a few pounds, right? It becomes so much more. You have unleashed the full force of the pain web upon the problem of your market. And so this is what it is that you are using in your marketing, right? I just went ahead and diagrammed that for you, right? The tactics over here. This is what you're using in those tactics, right? Everything that you're putting out there, you're publishing, you're podcasting, you're live streaming, all the content in your community, your marketing assets, your guides, the value that you're putting out when you're speaking to people, everything that is going out to your market, this is what it is that you are utilizing. You're using their pain, you're using their paradise, you're talking about your process and your frameworks. This is what it is that we are talking about, okay? And when you do this, and when you actually you just find that entry point, right? Whatever that entry point is. Hey, maybe it's I need to lose a few pounds. Maybe it's, hey, I struggle with type 2 diabetes. Hey, maybe it's I struggle with my confidence. Whatever that entry point is, okay, that major domain that you help people with, you then just link it to the other 4 domains. You link it to their health. And remember, we're not just talking about physical health. There's mental health involved there too, right? We talk about linking it to their wealth, their money, finances, career, business, their relationship with their spouse, their kids, society, their relationship with God, spirituality, and purpose. And not only that, these are just some examples of some of the sub areas. Obviously, I know that you're not the type of student who wants to be spoon-fed, follow blindly, and be remote controlled. So you get the idea what we're talking about here. These are just examples of sub areas that you could link it to, but it's literally unlimited. The number of areas of life and wellness that you could actually link the problems to. This is just to go ahead and give you prompts so that way you can go ahead and understand what it is that we're talking about, okay? And then going deep within each of the 3 levels of those problems, man, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, inside of the pain web, what's happening is that the problem is becoming magnified. The problem is becoming magnified. Now, remember, I know there's going to be some students who are like, man, are we taking, advantage of people? Or like, why are we focusing on their pain? Like, isn't that just mean? Well, here's the thing. We are doing this homework to be able to add to our asset for our marketing message, so that way we can have this bag of messaging that we can pull from. And why are we pulling out all of this pain for our prospects? Is because we actually want to help them solve these problems. We're not finding all of this pain so that we can try and manipulate and take advantage of our chosen people. It's actually the opposite. What we are doing is we're identifying all of this pain so that way we can actually solve these painful problems, because this is how we're going to actually be able to create value. Because remember, we talked about how is money exchanged, right? Money is just an intrinsic form of value. And so if you want to be able to make money, which is just value, you got to give value. Okay. So business is just an exchange of value. And so this is the process that we got to walk them through. We got to be able to walk somebody through, right? People, our market, we got to get them from their current situation to their desired situation. We got to solve a problem which is going to be the value that we provide, and then we charge a certain amount of the value that we have provided. And so this is the process. We're finding our people, we're identifying their pain, we're going to find out what paradise, where do they want to go, and then we're going to create a marketing message and a process going to get them from their pain over to their paradise, from their current situation over to their desired situation. And so this is not to go ahead and manipulate and take advantage of people. In fact, it's the opposite, so that we can actually help people. And the only way that we're going to be able to help people is by first knowing what it is that they're struggling with, what their pain points are, because what's the point of creating a marketing message, an offer that people don't actually want? This is the point of what we're doing here, is so that way we can actually tackle what it is that people want. Are you understanding the mindset behind this? I really, really, really hope that you are, because of the fact that when you actually do all of this properly, right? When you do this the way that you are learning right now, when you do this, what has begun to happen is that now you're beginning to package an offer and messaging that is far more powerful than anything else in the market that could have been put out there. And then what happens then? What happens that people will pay more for a problem and a solution that is inside of the pain web than that of a solution that is outside of the pain web, when you're only having a surface level conversation. Why will people pay more? Because of the fact that the value is more for their life, right? So when you're only having a surface level problem, when somebody is out there and saying, hey, I need to lose a few pounds, guess what you do? When you help them lose a few pounds, guess what solution you provided? What is the amount of value that you've provided? The only value that you've provided is you help them lose a few pounds. But then when you've connected the solution that you provide now to other areas of life, when they actually purchase what it is that you are solving for them, right? And now it's, hey, you're fixing your confidence for them. You're fixing their relationship with their spouse with them, fixing their relationship with their kids for them. You're helping them make more money because of the solution that you provide. You're helping them fix their wealth, their sense of purpose. You're now inside of the pain web solving so many problems. And guess what? Guess what? This is the really cool part about this. If we go back over here, right? The process hasn't changed. All you did was just identify and use different words and connect the pain to different areas of life. That's all you did. You didn't do anything different. But you see how the language that you use changes the entire game. The language that you use changes the entire game. And so now, just with that, just by having your marketing message, then your offer automatically provides more value, because now you're not just solving the problem of helping them lose a few pounds. What you're now doing is you're doing so much more for them in their life. The value of your product, of your solution, is so much more. Well, guess what? Wouldn't somebody pay more for getting more value? Of course they would. And guess what you can do when you actually provide more value? You can charge more. And so this is the core crux of what it is that we're talking about. Because what's going to happen is that in your marketplace, right? You have a chosen marketplace. We talked about all that in terms of picking your market and picking your people and all that kind of stuff, right? In your chosen marketplace, okay, when you do this properly, it is going to be assumed that you have the best solution. What is it? It's going to be assumed that you have the best solution when you are communicating to the market their problem in the best language possible. Now, I want to go ahead and explain that last sentence a little bit more, because this is going to absolutely be groundbreaking for you if you properly understand what it is that we're talking about, okay? I want to dive into what we say when we say they will assume that you have the best solution. What does that mean? Let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit more, okay? Why is the pain web so important, and why is it going to be so groundbreaking for you when you understand this concept for the rest of your career, okay? This is a concept that we actually learned from the authors of Play Bigger, and this concept really took us a while to wrap our heads around, okay? And the authors of Play Bigger, these guys have done multiple billion-dollar exits. These guys are really, really good at business. And the authors of Play Bigger, when they talk about the concept in Play Bigger, and I'm going to talk to you about what that concept is in just a second, this is something that we literally had to repeat to ourselves over and over and over again for a lot of years and do a lot of reps before we were able to truly understand it. And what you're going to get right now is on a silver platter. You're going to go ahead and get that understanding. And I hope it seeps as deep as it has for us, because this is going to absolutely shatter your understanding of why marketing messages are so important and why they are at the crux of being able to make everything else work. And so let's talk about that concept that changed our understanding of marketing forever. So here's the concept, okay? This is the sentence of it. The one who can explain the problem that the market is facing the best, the market assumes that they have the best solution. I'm going to say that again. The one who can explain the problem the market is facing the best, the market assumes that they have the best solution. Now, when you hear it the first time, it doesn't sound like anything crazy, right? But what this concept is proposing is completely different, a completely different way of understanding how offer and messaging work in the marketplace, and really a more accurate way of how offer and messaging work in the marketplace. So what we're going to go ahead and do for the next couple minutes is I'm going to go ahead and break this down for you so that way you really understand. Remember, this entire section, this entire kind of training that we're going through right now is the strategy and the mindset behind pain, because after this, we're going to get into the tactics. It's going to be very easy. Boom, 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 boom. Do this, do this, do this, do this. That's it. But the strategy and the mindset, if you understand this, forget it. We're going to be rocking and rolling. So let's go ahead and break this down. Stick with me, okay? Is that this is the concept, right? The one who can explain the problem the market is facing the best, the market assumes that they have the best solution. So what this is saying, okay? What this is saying is that the one, who's the one, right? The one is the solution provider. The one, right, is a solution provider in the marketplace, aka you, probably, right? Hopefully. And so then can explain the problem the market is facing, right? Can explain the problem best. AKA, where explain the problem? Explain the problem in your messaging, okay? Explain the problem in your marketing. Explain the problem in your offer, okay? And it's not just, hey, any problem. It's the problem that your market is facing, right? The problem has to be specific to your group of people. The market assumes that they have the best solution, meaning that the people in the market, right, your target customers, are going to assume that your process, remember that vehicle, right, that car in between pain and paradise, that your process is the best if you can find the right words, not just find, but if you can craft, if you can put together the right words to explain the problem that the market is going through. Okay, how and why does this work, okay? This is why it works. Is that when you are so dang good at understanding the market, when you are so dang good at understanding who the market is, right, your people, right? How do they identify themselves? What do they like? What do they don't like? Who the people are, right? This is people right here, people, okay? And then their pain, which is what are their problems? What is their pain? As you linked it to the 4 domains at so many different levels, and their paradise, okay? What they want, what are the results and outcomes, their roadblocks, you link it to the 4 domains, and at multiple levels, which you're going to learn about paradise in a little bit. When you get so dang good at understanding your market, what's going to happen is that the market actually cares less about your process. What does that mean? Think about this for a second. Really, really think about this and stick with me here for a second. I know I'm going a little bit vague and abstract, but think about this, okay? When you understand your market and you communicate to your market in a way that is so clear to them, it is automatically assumed that your process, your solution is the best. Because what happens is that the market assumes that if this solution provider, right? If this solution provider is so dang good at explaining the problem that we suffer from, right? They're better at explaining it than we even know how to talk about it, right? Imagine I'm the market, I'm talking to you, right? Dang, you are so dang good at explaining to me my problem. Well, guess what that must mean? It must mean that you understand the problem the best. Because if you can explain to me the problem in words that are better than even I could explain it, right? You're literally in my head talking to me about the problem that I suffer from. That must mean that you understand the problem, because how in the world would you be able to explain the problem if you actually didn't understand it? And now here's the thing, right? So I'm Mr. or Mrs. Tina, right? I'm the market here, right? Is that, hey, if you, solution provider, remote wellness practitioner, if you understand the problem the best, then you know what else that must mean? That must mean that the solution that you provide must also be the best. And guess what? Guess what me, Mr. or Mrs. Tina, me the market, guess what I'm looking to do? I'm always looking to purchase the solution that I think is best. And so if you're following me, I'm going to kind of break frame here and talk to you about here, right? Is the logic of the market is that, hey, if you can explain the problem the best, that must mean that you understand the problem the best, more than any other shop, more than any other market, more than any other solution provider in the market, right? You understand the problem the best. And if you understand the problem the best, that must mean that your solution to the problem is also the best, right? These are all the assumptions that the market is creating because of the fact that you're communicating to them in their language. And because your solution must be the best, that's the one that we should purchase. Mic drop. Are you understanding this? I hope you are understanding this, right? This is what surface level marketers and entrepreneurs do not understand. They sit around and wonder, hey, how come there are no prospects that are coming to me? How come? And the reason why is because your messaging is just noise like everyone else. Your offer and your messaging and the way that you're communicating, the actual words that you are using are not any better than anything else in the market. Because of the fact that if you are just a newbie, a beginner, right? If you're just somebody who's struggling out there, then all you're doing is you're going over the surface level. And when you go over the surface level, guess what the market thinks, right? All of these other people that are in the market, right? Your people, your market, right? Because you chose this market. All the people in your market, right? The people that you want to be able to serve, because you're not using the right words to be able to communicate their problem and their pain, they say, you know what? Because you don't know our pain, you're not using the right words with us, you're not resonating with us, well, that must mean that your solution isn't that good either, because of the fact that you don't even know our problems. How can you create the perfect solution for us when you can't even properly understand our pain points and our problems? And so here's the thing. When you actually crack the offer and the messaging, everything else automatically falls into place effortlessly. And so this, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope, I wanted to take the time, take a few minutes to really help you understand this, because this is going to serve you for the rest of your entire career. I'm telling you, there's literally, as far as I know, nobody else that educates their students to this level and to this degree, okay? I really hope that you understand this. This is the skill. And when we talk about skill equals knowledge times reps, okay? You're just now learning about this. Before, you were at unconscious incompetence. You didn't even know that any of this existed. But guess what? Now that your eyes are being opened, you're now realizing, oh dang, I'm consciously incompetent at this skill. But guess what? Don't fear, don't fret. Because with enough reps, now that you're getting the knowledge of it, with enough reps, you're going to get better, you're going to get better, you're going to get better. And you're going to work on your identity to understand this as well. And then guess what? Your results are going to change accordingly. And so I really hope that you understand exactly what it is that we just talked about, because it's so absolutely important. So having said that, I know this section of the training was a little bit longer, but it was so absolutely important. What's next is that now that you understand the pain web and the strategy behind why the pain web is so important, what we're going to now do is we're now going to go ahead and use different tools in order to go ahead and dive into the pain and bring to surface the pain that the market is actually facing, right? All of that deep emotional pain, we're going to bring it to the surface. And so the key, though, the very important key, is to first understand the mindset of what and why we are doing, which is what we just talked about inside of this training. Because once you understand that, then the how, right? The tools, the tactics is going to become super easy. But unless you first understand what it is that we just talked about, right? Unless you first understand this mindset and strategy that we just went over, what's going to end up happening is that you're just going to go through the motions. You're going to say, hey, why aren't people interested in me in the market? Like, why aren't people coming to me? Hey, Coach Yassine. Hey, Coach Malik. Hey, RW coaches. Hey, rest of the coaches. Like, nothing's working for me. Why are the tactics not working for me? The reason why is because you just went through the tactics, you went through the motions, and you didn't understand what it is that we were talking about here. The answer that you are now understanding is that nobody is going to be interested in what it is that you have to offer unless you actually hit on the pain points that are deeper than just the surface level pain points. And you have to hit on those inside of your offer, inside of your messaging, inside of your spice, inside of your marketing. That is exactly how it works. Okay? Awesome. Beautiful. So next up, and in the actual next parts of this training, what we're going to go ahead and do is they're actually quite easy and straightforward. We're going to go ahead and get into the trenches, and we're going to actually start doing the dang work to be able to actually start to extract the pain points of our people, so that way we can actually communicate to the marketplace better. And obviously we're going to have all of the kind of, we talk about, the different tools that you can use, XYZ, all of that is going to be something that you are going to be able to go ahead and utilize. So with that being said, this is the closing of this specific section and this specific part inside of this training. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about what it is that we spoke about, anything that was discussed, if something just really blew your mind, let us know about that as well. Using the comment section down below, if you do that, it's going to add a tag to the training so it keeps everything nice and organized. But please, 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 this was probably the most important training in this entire section for you to be able to wrap your head around and properly understand. So if there was something that stood out to you, let us know inside of the comment section down below. And with that being said, I will catch you inside of the next section. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the tactical step number 1 of going ahead and extracting the pain from your market. Let's go ahead and talk about it right now, which is going to be pain research AI. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So now that we have an understanding of the strategy and the mindset behind pain and what it is that we're looking for, next step, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're actually going to go ahead and get tactical and actually start compiling the language of pain, the language of the pain points, the language of the problems, the language of the struggles and frustrations of our people and of our market. Okay. And obviously we're going to be doing this inside of our document, our Spice messaging document. So what are we going to go ahead and do? What we're going to do is here we're actually going to use artificial intelligence instead of brainstorming. So if you remember, in some of the other steps, what we first do is we kind of come up with a hypothesis, or we brainstorm from our own minds first. Well, when it comes to pain, why are we going to actually go ahead and use AI instead of brainstorming a hypothesis? So what you got to understand is that for most of our business careers, what ended up happening was that the first step to understanding our market was always like brainstorming, right? And what would happen is that we would literally like pound our heads. Here's a visual for this. We would pound our heads against the wall over and over and over again in order to come up and brainstorm hypotheses in order to get started, right? So here's pounding our head against the wall, right? When it came to pain points, when it came to results, when it came to outcomes and all that kind of stuff. However, in the last few months, and this is why we are committed to giving you the cutting edge and providing our students with the cutting edge, is that artificial intelligence has gotten really good and a lot more accessible to all of us. And so guess what the AI is able to do? Not only is it able to go ahead and give us a starting point. Now, yes, it doesn't 100% replace us, right, for the need of humans yet, which very soon it probably will, but what it does is it allows for us as humans to do what we are actually good at, which is actually filtering and editing what the AI is giving us, right? And so it allows us to actually be even more effective and even more efficient rather than spending a whole bunch of time trying to come up with things, but instead it prompts us and it gets our feet wet and kind of gets us going, so that way we can go ahead and take what it gives us and get started from there, right? And so because, again, like we are committed to providing our students with the most up-to-date tools, instead of teaching you how to be able to pound your head against the wall and come up with or think of ideas, right? We're going to teach you how to actually utilize artificial intelligence in a very specific way to then speed up your initial hypothesis when it comes to market research, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get tactical and step by step on how to actually use the AI and the artificial intelligence in order to do your pain research for your market. So what we're actually going to do, because this is going to be a little bit more of a tactical, and I'm going to go ahead and actually open up the tab to show you the different AIs that you can use and the tactics of this, so that way it's not something you're having to guess on. We're actually going to go ahead and cut over to a mini training that is going to walk you through the step-by-step of this with the AI. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut over to that mini training now. All right, team, welcome to this quick mini training that's going to be about how to do pain research using artificial intelligence. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So what we're going to go ahead and do, and the first thing that we're going to do, is we're actually going to go ahead and prompt the AI. Now, this is actually a very kind of advanced thing that I wanted to go ahead and teach you because I think it's going to be extremely beneficial. The future absolutely does belong to those who are able to learn how to interact with the artificial intelligence. I think that most people use artificial intelligence kind of like they use Google, right? They just kind of ask it questions. But really the power of artificial intelligence is learning how to be able to prompt it so that way it knows exactly what it is that you are looking for. So what we mean by that is what you want to do is when you go ahead and open up the artificial intelligence, like I'm going to show you in just a second, is you want to go ahead and kind of assign an identity to the artificial intelligence, because what happens is that, as you're going to learn in just a second, is that all of these artificial intelligence, and there is one that is inside of TCK, there is also one on ChatGPT. I will show you and walk you through both of them. What's going to happen here is that inside of the chat that you are in, right, inside of the chat window, the artificial intelligence is actually going to kind of remember exactly what the previous answers were. So that's the reason why, like, let's say, for example, you ask the AI a question and you say, hey, give me more, or, expand on this, or make this more emotional. When you give it that response, it remembers exactly what it was previously. And so what we're doing is we're actually prompting the AI with the specific kind of avatar. And then once it has assigned that identity to itself, we can then go in and ask it different questions according to the prompt and the identity that it has. Okay, so let me walk you through what this is going to look like. Okay, so now there are two kind of resources that you can utilize for this. So TCK, as of recording this training, TCK does have its AI, but this is ChatGPT-like. What does that mean? It means that right now, the company that owns ChatGPT, called OpenAI, they have not released their own API. Now, I'm not going to bore you or confuse you or overwhelm you with any of the other kind of details around this, but an API is basically just like kind of like a gateway or a door to be able to access a different piece of software. So the actual software called OpenAI, all right, OpenAI is the name of the company. OpenAI owns a product called ChatGPT, okay? They own the product called ChatGPT. Now, in addition to owning the product called ChatGPT, they have other AI products as well. Now, right now, they only have the API available, right? The way that at the time of recording this training, they only have the API available for the other AI products. There's like DaVinci and kind of these other AI tools out here, right? Now, the really powerful, really powerful tool is ChatGPT. Now, OpenAI is currently working on getting their API. Remember, the API is kind of like the door, right? And so they are working on getting that API set up for ChatGPT. Once that is in place, then the TCK AI, which uses the OpenAI platform, will also be the equivalent of ChatGPT. So for right now, it's ChatGPT-like, meaning that it's very similar. It's almost as powerful as ChatGPT, but just not as powerful, okay? So there are going to be two platforms that you are going to be able to use. You can either use the TCK AI, which is going to be built off of the OpenAI other AIs, okay? Or, right, so that's number one. You can use the TCK one, okay? Or you can go in and create a free account on ChatGPT, okay, ChatGPT. And then what you're able to do once you create that free account is you can go ahead and utilize that. So I'm actually going to show you what it looks like on both. Now, for us, we actually use ChatGPT and the AI for a business purpose. And so we actually purchase, I believe it's like $20 a month. Now, you do not have to pay for the $20 a month. The $20 a month just allows us to be able to get faster response times, as well as allows us to be able to have more on times, because so many people are using AI nowadays with ChatGPT. A lot of times it might be down. So if you have the free version, you might go there and it might actually be down. Okay. So these are all just kind of tools that I want you to know and be familiar with, so that way you understand how all of this works. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and utilize it on the TCK AI first, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the ChatGPT side. Okay. So we're going to have this prompt, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and going to say, hey, create a customer profile avatar for, and we're going to put a name here. Okay. So for, let's say John, who is and then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the research that we've done with our people, right? Okay. This is going to be very important. All of the research that you've done with your people, you want to go ahead and give it as clear of an identity as possible. Now, remember, we are just guiding you on this. Please don't be a remote control student who expects to be spoon-fed and follow blindly. Here is that this is just one way to do it. There's literally an unlimited number of ways. Just because we're showing you this way doesn't mean that this is the only way, or this is the best way, or this is a magical special way. Play around with it and see how it comes out, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you an example, but please remember this is only just an example, okay? So go ahead and create a customer avatar. This is what we're gonna tell the AI for John, who is a working career professional who suffers from, let's say, for example, the people that I'm going to help are people who have type 2 diabetes, okay? And then we're going to make sure that we are checking our spelling on there. Very important, okay? Now, once we have this, right now, you can go ahead and add more to this. You can go ahead and I would definitely recommend adding more to this. This is just an example right now, okay? And I'm going to copy this, and we're going to go ahead and press enter here. And you're going to see that it's going to take a second here, and it's going to load, all right? And it's going to go ahead and give us a customer profile for that. Now, while this is loading, right here, this is what we loaded on here. I'm going to go over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Now, this is going to be where you notice the difference between the two APIs, right? The API for ChatGPT and the API for the OpenAI kind of general AI that's on there, right? So create a customer profile for John, who is a working professional, I'm going to hit enter on there, and you're going to see, here's an example, boom, 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 and it's going to be so much more extensive. And so this is the reason why, yes, TCK's AI is actually probably a lot better for when you're using it for, let's say, for example, like copywriting, blog article writing, advertising. Like this is, TCK's AI is going to shine when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? Like Facebook ads copy, generating sales emails, generating, let's say, website or funnel copy, generating content ideas. It's going to shine when it comes to this stuff. But in terms of like just general research, my preference so far right now is going to be ChatGPT. However, you can absolutely use TCK AI and see how that works as well. It's definitely going to be more on, like, let's say, for example, ChatGPT is down a lot of times. If you're not paying for it and you're doing the free version, you can definitely just use the TCK version, because it's going to give you what it is that you need. Okay, so let's go back over here and let's just go ahead and start this up one more time. And so you're going to see here, this is going to be what it looks like for TCK AI, and then this is what it looks like for the ChatGPT AI over here, right? So it gives us demographics, it gives us goals and values, it gives us pain points, which is amazing, preferred channels, right? And then key takeaways, okay? Right here. This is amazing. Now, what we're going to do is once we've prompted this, and we've kind of given you another example of how you can prompt it on here, once you've prompted this, what you're now going to do is you can now go in and ask it different questions according to the customer avatar. Now, you're going to notice we use the example of John here. Again, please for your sake. Okay, please understand, when we give you examples, it does not mean for you to be a remote control student who follows blindly and expects to be spoon-fed. Okay, please do not misunderstand this. You do not have to use the word John or the name John here. Okay, this is just an example. Please think outside of the box and understand that you need to use this for your own situation. Okay, so what you can do now is that we can go ahead and say, how does this make John feel that he has this condition, right? And we can ask it this question. And you're going to see on here, I cannot determine how John feels about his condition. However, as someone who's living with type 2 diabetes, it's common for individuals, and it's going to give us some prompts on that, right? How is John struggling in his marriage because of his condition, right? Question. And then it's going to tell us, okay, can I tell you exactly how John is? But I'm going to go ahead and tell you based off of this is what I think John would be experiencing, right? He would be experiencing like this, okay? And so we can do the exact same thing here inside of the TCK AI as well. And it would do the exact same process for us. So again, extremely, extremely powerful tools that we are talking about here. And we can now go through and ask it different question prompts, right? Here's a really powerful one. Write a pessimistic story in the first person view that John is telling himself about his limiting beliefs and negative self-talk. Because remember, we're trying to get into the mind, not that we're trying, we are getting into the mind of our prospects, okay, and our market. And so getting something like this is so extremely valuable. Here, look at this right here, okay? It's important for people like John to seek support. Nonetheless, here's a pessimistic story in the first person view telling himself his struggles. I wake up every morning feeling tired and overwhelmed. My condition has taken over my life. I feel like I'm not in control anymore. This right here is all extremely gold when we talk about getting a hypothesis around the pain points of the market, okay? So again, we have all of these prompts on here. The biggest thing you want to remember is you want to kind of prompt the AI around the strategy of like, hey, how is this impacting other areas of their life? What kind of, like, what day-to-day problems does John experience because of his type 2 diabetes, right? Because of his condition. Now, what you're going to notice is that these AIs are kind of developing in real time. So even when I tried this like last week, it would not emphasize this as much, right? I would like to note that this is only focusing on So what they're doing is these companies are starting to realize that like they got to start being a little bit careful. So sometimes they're making the AIs a little bit more dumb on purpose because of the fact that unfortunately silly people are using them for silly purposes. And so all of this is going to be something that is regularly changing. Again, please make sure that you are experimenting and seeing what works best for you. There's a lot of different YouTube videos on how to be able to prompt AIs out there. You can Google it, you can learn from. There's just so much resources out there. So I would highly encourage you to be resourceful so that way you can be empowered and have the freedom that you're looking for with this. Okay, so I'm going to show you another example on here. What day-to-day problems does John experience because of his condition? Again, it's giving me this strange prompt. It wasn't giving me that last week, which is annoying because it sounds like they're kind of, making it a little bit more dumbed down. But here we go, right? It's giving me day-to-day problems, meal planning and dietary restrictions, fatigue and low energy. And so what I'm now going to do, okay, again, we have some other prompts on here that you can read through. What we're now going to do is we're going to go ahead and take all of this valuable information that we're collecting as a hypothesis from the AI, and we're going to go ahead and summarize it inside of our notes. Now, I want to warn you on this because I know there's going to be, unfortunately, some students who are going to do this, and it's going to be very sad and unfortunate when they do that, is that some students are going to want to copy this entire thing and then just copy and paste it into their notes. I'm telling you right now, that's silly because what's going to do is you're going to literally have pages and pages and pages and pages of words that don't mean anything. And so now everything's become useless and redundant. You do not want to do that. What you want to do inside of your notes is you want to create a bullet point, okay? You want to create bullet points inside of your notes, and you want to be pulling different kind of concepts as you're doing this, right? So you're coming over here and saying, okay, let's say, for example, day-to-day problems, right? And then you're creating a number. Okay, so we're going to say difficulty managing. Okay, awesome. And then sub-bullet underneath this, one of the biggest day-to-day challenges is managing the blood sugar. This can involve monitoring blood sugar levels regularly. So I might put monitoring blood sugar levels regularly and adjusting, right? So I might put this right here, okay? So you see on here, this is very different than if I had copied all of this. It'd be silly for me to copy all of this because I don't need all of that, right? Same thing over here, right? I go over here, enter, and then I do shift tab on my keyboard in order to do one bullet point backwards. Okay, these are things that you're going to learn as you develop your skills around this. And then you go, okay, cool. Meal planning and dietary restrictions. That makes sense for me to copy. People would often need to be careful about what they eat. Let's say careful about what they eat. I like that. So I might put that, right? And then this can involve planning meals in advance, tracking carbohydrate intake, avoiding things like, okay, so I might put like having to plan meals, track carbs and sugar intake, avoid certain foods, right? And so what you're noticing on here is that I'm kind of like taking the key points of this. I'm not just copying and pasting it, because then it kind of becomes a little bit too redundant, right? Same thing. I'm kind of going through this process and I'm extracting what I want from here. I'm looking for terms, phrases, language, concept. That's what I'm looking for when I'm prompting the AI in order to do this, because I do not want to be copying massive paragraphs, because that's not going to be beneficial to me. Now, in some cases, let's say, for example, something like this. This is like more of like a story. I might end up copying a little bit more out of this than I would have in this bullet point format here, right? So I might have been like, I wake up every morning feeling tired, my condition. So I might say like phrases, let's say limiting beliefs and phrases that John repeats to himself, right? And I'll say like, my condition has taken over my life. I like that one, right? I feel like I'm not in control anymore, right? And so now I'm breaking it up into bullet points. Every time I see my brother, I feel like a failure. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. Very, very nice, right? I tell myself I should be able to manage this, but it's just a matter of willpower, but I know it's not true. I can't enjoy a meal. So some of these things, I might actually piecemeal them out, but definitely not paragraphs. You don't want to end up with like, all right, here we go. Just going to copy paragraphs. Let's just copy paragraphs like a mindless, somebody who wants to be spoon-fed and just follow blindly and be remote control. Yay, look, I did my activity. Okay, well, what the heck did you get out of it? Nothing. All right, that's the reason why you're not getting the results, you're not being successful, because you have to do this in an organized fashion, all right? Very, very, very important. If you identify with somebody who's not organized and you can't take the time and you want to be Jackie Chan mode, speed demon mode, well, guess what? You're going to have to develop your version 2.0 self so you can be more organized and structured. The more organized and structured that you are with this, the more successful you're going to be overall and get better results, okay? So this has been the step-by-step tutorial on how you're actually going to be utilizing the AI in order to actually go out there and get your first level hypothesis for your pain research. And this is going to be an absolutely invaluable tool for you as you go throughout this process. So with that being said, now that this mini training is done, we're going to go ahead and cut back over to the main training right now. All right, welcome back from that quick mini training on how to actually do the pain research using the artificial intelligence. It's really, really cool. It's kind of scary in the beginning, but then you all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, there is so much that I could do with this. And so yes, there is so much that you are able to go ahead and utilize this for and utilize this with. And so really at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are actually utilizing it in the proper way, right? Now, there's not only this way that we're teaching you how to use it, there's a gazillion other ways, right? And so really the people who are the key holders of artificial intelligence in the new era are going to be those who actually understand how to use the AI for their benefit, right? Other people are just going to use it like Google. But there's a specific way to actually be able to prompt it so that way you can get more and more and more rich information and knowledge back from it in a way that normal average people are not. Okay. And then obviously we talk about summarizing that and then being careful as a warning not to copy and paste entire paragraphs, because then your spice messaging document is just going to get all messy and then literally becomes redundant and useless. So you have been warned about that. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to go ahead and talk to you about this is that humans need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. And so I know that you are not the type of student who wants to be remote controlled, spoon fed, or followed blindly. But here's the thing, not every student is like you. And so here's a reminder for all of those other students is that education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And so what we are doing is we're giving you and providing you a guide, prompts, examples, right? So even the way that we just talked to you about artificial intelligence, right? That's just one way that at the time of creating this training we have come up with, right? But if you actually use your resourcefulness, if you actually sit down and do the dang work and think and be creative a little bit more and actually go out there, I'm telling you 100%, you will be successful and you will be a winner, right? And so we really, really want to go ahead and remind all those other students, maybe not you, but the other students, please don't be a limbic laloo who wears the failure uniform and doesn't actually do the thinking time that is necessary in order to learn how to be resourceful, right? Because here's the thing, we don't want you tied to us for the rest of your life. We want you to have freedom. And so please don't go from being a newbie beginner to being a limbic laloo. We want you to be a winner instead. And so how you do that is by actually doing the dang work the way, number one, replicate before you iterate, okay? Replicate what it is that we just did, make sure you understand it, and then iterate. Get creative on it, get resourceful on it, right? Think outside the box, right? You can even, there's a gazillion awesome, amazing YouTube videos out there that'll teach you how to be able to prompt AIs even better than the way that we've actually taught you how to do it. The question is, the winners will actually go out there and succeed and win because they understand that they don't want to be remote controlled, they don't want to be spoon-fed, they don't want to follow blindly. They want to be able to own the keys to their own kingdom and be able to be successful that way. And so I would urge you, please, to go out there and be a winner and don't be a limbic lallu who wears the failure uniform instead, okay? But again, humans need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. And so that's the reason why I am talking to all of those other students. Maybe this does not apply to you because you're probably a winner. But all those other students, they needed this reminder, okay? Next up, the other question that sometimes a lot of students might ask is, hey, is this AI research that we just did, is this final? Like, is this kind of like end all be all? Like, hey, the AI was right, I don't need to do anything else after this? The answer to that question is actually in the iteration cycle. So if you remember, right, we go ahead and have a hypothesis, and then we expose that hypothesis to the real world. We come up with the version 2, and then we expose the version 2 to the real world. We come up with the version 3, right? This is the iteration cycle. This is what we're talking about here, okay? And so even though AI is pretty good, AI for now has no idea what's actually going on in the marketplace, right? It can't actually get into the psychology of humans, of your people, of the marketplace. It's just not there yet. Now, maybe in the future it will be. Actually, not just maybe, 100% it will be, right? But for right now, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to be able to expose these hypotheses that we've come up with from the AI. Instead of racking our brain and pounding against the wall, we've actually gone ahead and have a hypothesis from the AI, which is a pretty dang good hypothesis. But what we now got to do is we got to expose it to the real world, to the actual marketplace, and say, hey, what is actually going on in the marketplace, in the psychology of our people? And so this pain research about the problems that our market is facing using AI, yes, it's a good starting point to get our feet wet. But in the next step, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to go to the market ourselves and see what the other stores, the other shops, the other solution providers, the other competitors, the other players in the space are talking to the market about the pain points, as well as, right? So we're going to look at what are these shops saying to these people, and then as well as what are the people saying themselves about what their pain points and their problems are. And so yes, that does mean in the next section, we're actually gonna have to poke our head outside of our shop, right? This is our shop right here, right? We can't just sit in our shop, close the windows, close the door and say, cool, I'm just gonna come up with the ideas of the pain points using my artificial intelligence. We're actually gonna have to come out of our shop and we're actually gonna have to look around the marketplace and see what is actually going on in the market. But guess what? It's going to absolutely be worth it. Okay, so this has been step number 1, which is the pain research using artificial intelligence. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything about what it is that we discuss, make sure you go ahead and let us know. Use the comment section down below inside of this training section. So that way there is a tag for this training. It keeps all of the comments and the posts organized inside of the student community according to the training section. So please make sure that you go ahead and do that. And with that being said, go out there and complete this section, and I will catch you inside of the next section. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the party. Step number 2, pain research using the marketplace. Let's go ahead and jump right in. And we're going to go ahead and start off with a little bit of a reminder, if not drilling it into your head. Let's talk about it like that, right? Until you have it literally memorized. Do not forget this. The ultimate way, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to do research on the market is and always will be to actually look at the marketplace. Remember that, okay? Never will you actually be able to go ahead and stay in your shop, close the windows, close the doors, hide inside of there, and then all of a sudden come up with a magical breakthrough idea, okay? The answer that you are looking for when it comes to marketing, when it comes to offer creation, when it comes to sales, all of that. Yes, there is a little bit of creativity, but all of that only comes after you have the base foundation in place, okay? And that's going to come from your marketplace. It's going to come by looking at, hey, how are all of the other solution providers? How are all of the other competitors? And then how are the people? How are my people? How are my market, my prospects, the people in the marketplace? What are they telling me, right? Because here's the thing. How in the world are you going to be able to do pain research about the problems of your chosen market and what they're experiencing? How are you actually going to do that, right? How? You're going to do that by looking at the market. And then in this specific section, right, what's the portal? What's the door that you're going to be able to have in order to look at the marketplace? Well, guess what? We created it before. We're going to use it again. We're going to keep on using it. And this should be something that you're going ahead and using in the background, ongoing, all the time. And you're going to start to notice a theme here is that it's all about the dang swipe file. And so if that is hopefully maybe some document that you have somewhere, right? If you're using ClickUp, awesome. You can open that up. If you're using some other software, if you're using, paper and pen, which I think might be impossible for a swipe file, but whatever you're using to keep it organized, make sure that you go ahead and get it ready and pull it out because we're going to be utilizing it in what it is that we're about to talk about right now. Now, to go ahead and put the nail in the coffin to not beat the dead horse unicorn, not to preach to the choir over here, right? Humans need to be reminded more than we be taught, right? We talk about this all the time, but I want to remind you again, why is this important? The reason why this is so dang important, you hear me? Say it with me now. The reason why this is so important is because business in general and marketing specifically, absolutely, is never about you. It's the market. It's not about, hey, I'm going to sell myself. No, you're selling to the market. And who is the market? It's all of the people that are in the market, okay? But guess what? It's not just about the people in the market, because all of these people are getting exposed and being bombarded by marketing messages from all the other solution providers. And so if you're going to go out there and actually market, have a marketing message, you got to know, hey, what are these people being exposed to? Where's their mindset, right? Are they upset? Are they angry? Maybe all these other solution providers are just pissing them off. Well, you got to know that. You can't just come up with something in a vacuum and then expect to get it right. And so unless you actually look at the current market landscape, right? Unless you actually know what it is that the pain points of the people that you're targeting, you're not going to be able to do that. And so you might think that you want to go through this process, but until you actually look at the market, you're not actually going to know what's going on. And so again, I know we're beating the dead horse unicorn over here, okay? Preaching to the choir, nail in the coffin, but I wanted to go ahead and remind you of the importance of what it is that we are talking about before we actually get into the tactics. But having said that, let's now go ahead and get into the tactics. Okay, let's go ahead and how to do the pain research using the marketplace, using the swipe file. Let's go ahead and go through it step by step together. Okay, so step number one, what you're going to do is you're going to open up your marketplace swipe file. Ideally, you have minimum 5, ideally 10, probably 20. Like hopefully you have a lot of different players and competitors who are in the same or similar market to you, okay? Very, very, very important. And what you're going to be doing, remember, the swipe file is not just something you're like, oh, okay, I got to do my pain research. Let me just go ahead and, open up all these tabs and just pull it up right now. No, you need to make sure that you are spending separate time to put this together. If you're trying to do this like speed demon, Jackie Chan mode, like just show up and be like, yo, I got it. Da-da-da-da-da. No, this has to be a separate file that you have been ongoingly adding to. It's not going to be something that for the sake of this activity that you just put together. Please understand me very carefully. Very, very, very important. Step number 2, you're then going to go ahead and open up your AI pain research document, right? Your hypothesis of all of that kind of stuff that you pulled out from the AI. You're going to go ahead and open that up. And then you're going to open up a new document, right? Create a separate document, whether that be a subpage and ClickUp, whatever it might be. You're going to prepare to journal. What tool you use doesn't really matter, right? It might be a Google document, it might be Apple Notes, whatever it might be, okay? But what you're going to learn right now, this is the way that winners get organized. This is the way that winners study. This is the way that winners think. This is the way that winners process information. It's so absolutely important for you to make sure that you are doing this properly, okay? And then step number 4, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and get ready to explore the prompts that are going to be inside of the guide of this training. Now, just a rule for this, okay? Some of these prompts may or may not apply. Remember, all we're doing is we are exploring. Do not get hung up on these specific prompts. They're not some special magical prompts. Unfortunately, there are some students who just think like, oh, just because, remote wellness and Coach Yassine provided this, like it must be some magical special stuff. Yes, it's a good starting point. But remember, I know you're not the student who wants to be remote control, spoon-fed, and follow blindly, right? So you got to use these prompts and then build on top of them. So what are these prompts that we're going to talk about? Okay, so number 1, you're going to start to explore in just a second. I'm going to walk you through how to do this, but you're going to basically look for the answers of, hey, what is the market is saying is their problem? What specific words, jargon are they using to describe their problem? What is the market saying is the impact of these problems in their life? What is the market saying are their pain points? What are their struggles, their limiting beliefs, their frustrations? How are these pain points, struggles, and limiting beliefs impacting their life negatively, right? What are they currently experiencing in life because of that pain? How is this pain making them feel, okay? Why does the pain make them feel that way? What is it costing the market to be able to stay where they are right now because of this pain? What is it costing them financially? What is it costing them emotionally, right? How is this impacting their 4 domains of wellness? How are they struggling in, let's say, their health, wealth, relationships, connection to something greater, their marriage, their relationship with their kids, right? Their mental health, their energy, their business, their career, their finances, spirituality, confidence, body image, legacy, purpose in life, right? What is the market saying that they've already tried? What is the market saying that they didn't work for them? And then who are the other solution providers throwing rocks at, right? So let's say, for example, the other solution providers, the other stores and shops in the marketplace are saying, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Like, who are they throwing rocks at? What are some of these other things that they're saying that, you shouldn't try? What are those things, right? And again, you can also go ahead and use a lot of the prompts that we use for the AI. You can add those as prompts over here as well. Now, remember, these are just exploration questions. Does that mean that you got to answer every single one of these questions? No. It's just a matter of exploring and getting an idea. It's just to go ahead and get you started. Are these the only ones? Of course not. There's going to be so many more that you might be able to come up with that you want to explore, but these are just to go ahead and get you to understand what's happening on here. Because there are so many good prompts and questions that you can ask yourself that'll really help you dissect, examine, interrogate, and investigate the market's pain. And just remember the strategy that we talked about, right? Connecting it to the different domains of wellness, going deep. Hey, what's the surface level pains? What are the experienced pains? How is that making them feel? Go deep on that. And that's going to allow you to get really a 360-degree view of the pain of the market. Okay, cool. So these are the prompts. And then what you're going to now do, okay, now that you understand the prompts, what you're going to be doing is you're going to use your swipe file and you're going to use, hey, what are the other successful solution providers, right? Look at this guy right here. This person is a successful solution provider. This one over here as well. This one over here as well, right? You're going to go ahead and look at, hey, let me look at their customer testimonials, their websites, their landing page, their ad libraries, their email lists, their social media accounts, their publishing, their headlines, their titles. We're going to go through these and we're going to go ahead and start pulling the answers to those prompts that we were thinking about earlier, okay? And we're going to go ahead and see, hey, what are the solution providers saying to the market that, hey, these are your pain points, these are your problems, these are your struggles, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and pull out the answer to as many of those prompts that we can find from the marketing of the other successful solution providers by using our swipe file. I hope that makes sense and I hope that is absolutely clear, okay? That's step number 5. Step number 6 is now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to say, hey, what are the people saying? Okay, so now that we understand, hey, what are the solution providers, right? What are the solution providers saying to the people? But what are the people themselves saying? And the reason why this is important is because sometimes the solution providers might even have it wrong. Sometimes the solution providers might not be listening to the market, and the market is really the people right here, right? Obviously, the market is made up of the people and the other solution providers, but really at the core of it, it's about the people. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and look at, hey, look at where all of the market is congregating, right? Look at the Facebook groups, look at the Reddit subgroups, look at the comments in the section of the video, look at the search history, look at what the people themselves are saying, right? What are they saying are their frustrations? Maybe some of these people even have frustrations about the solution providers. They might be saying, hey, this solution provider has it wrong, even though they might be very popular. What are these people saying that they don't like about these solution providers, right? And so now what we're doing is we're pulling out as many answers to those prompts from the people directly. Do you see how all of this comes together? It's a beautiful system. It's a very, very, very amazing system that you're understanding right now at a very intricate level that is going to literally make the rest of your business effortless. Amazing, right? And then step number 7 is what you're doing is as you're going through that process, right? What you're doing is you're taking notes, you're organizing, you're summarizing, right? You're going through the solution providers and what the people are saying, and you're making a bullet point list in your notes. Boom, 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 boom. And what you're pulling out are words, phrases, sentences, concepts, terms, jargon, language, right? You're making bullet points of, hey, these are the pain points. These are the struggles. These are the frustrations. These are the things that they've tried. This is the reason why it didn't work. All of that is what you're putting on here. Now, remember, this is your asset. This is like gold for you. This is a resource. It's like an investment that you're going to be able to use over and over and over again for the history of your career when you are working with this market. It's going to be literally gold for you as you go ahead and properly do this in the way that we are talking about it, okay? And so the big thing that you want to understand, now that we've talked about how to actually do it tactically, the big thing you want to understand is that the more organized and structured and systematic you are with your research as you are going through this spice messaging process, the better results you're going to have down the road. Now, some of you who are coming into this might say, yeah, but Coach Yassine, like I'm not an organized, structured, or systematic person. Well, guess what? Your results are going to be dictated based off of your skills and your identity, okay? And so if you don't yet have the skills nor the identity around how to be an organized, structured, and systematic person, that's okay. Because guess what? If you are your version 1.0 self, you can become your version 2.0 self. You can acquire the skills. If you learned one way to do life, you can learn another way to do life. And so if you want the life and the results that you've always desired, then you're going to have to work on becoming your version 2.0 self, because this is what is required, right? We talk about being organized, structured, and systematic. This is what is required in order to actually get results in what it is that we're talking about. And guess what? If you're not getting the results that you want, the question you got to ask yourself is, hey, where is the deficit? Is the deficit in my skills or is the deficit in my identity? Okay? Is it my knowledge, my reps, my beliefs, or my character traits? And so if you're saying, hey, I'm not an organized, structured, or systematic person, that's an identity thing. That's the character traits that you have that you got to be able to work on. Because remember, the current version of yourself is responsible for creating your current reality and your current situation. And so again, a lot of the quotes that we love, right? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. If you want something that you've never had, you have to become someone you've never been. Think about some of the things that you've never have thought about and do things that you've never done before. What got you to where you are now will not get you to where you want to go. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting a different result. You can't continue being somebody who's not organized, who's not structured, who can't, use the computer to be able to do these technology things, XYZ, whatever it is. Maybe some of that applies to some of you, some of it doesn't. But whatever it is, that's insanity if you keep on repeating that and expecting a different result. And so you're going to have to work on these things in order to get better and better and better, because the better you get at this, the better the results that you're going to have around this as well. I hope that is 100,000% clear, because it's going to be literally the game changer that you need in order to be able to go out there and absolutely crush it, okay? And so with that being said, I want to go ahead and really preach to the choir one more time here, okay? Let's go ahead and beat the dead horse unicorn. Poor dead horse unicorn, right? Let's go ahead and put the nail in the coffin, right? Humans need to be reminded more than they need to be taught, okay? So the question for you is, are the prompts that we just went over, are they the only prompts that you're going to need? Say it with me now. No, Coach Yasin. Awesome. Great job. I knew you were not one of those students who wanted to be remote controlled, spoon fed, or follow blindly. Thank you so much for setting an example for all of the other students in understanding that, hey, all of the stuff that we just went over is the baseline, right? It's the guide, it's the example, right? But you're going to have to tap into your inner resourcefulness, actually sit down, do the dang work, put in the thinking time to be able to apply it for your specific situation and your market. Yes, we're here to guide you. Yes, we're here to provide some help for you, support you. But guess what? You're going to end up having to be resourceful for yourself, because that's how you get the ultimate freedom and being able to do it yourself as well. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why you are a winner and not a limbic laloo who wears a failure uniform. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being so awesome. Now, having said that, and having gone through all of what it is that we just went over right now when it comes to the research around pain, let's go ahead and talk about this, okay? Coach, this is overwhelming. Too much research, too many questions. Do I got to do all of that? 1 second. Take a deep breath, right? Remember the Yasin glue back in certification? Stick with me. You're doing great, okay? Your goal during these steps that we just talked about is not to write a 10-volume book on your market, which, now, here's the thing. If you are able to go ahead and maybe write a 10-volume book on your market via bullet points and keep everything organized, and you're able to do it without getting overwhelmed and it not taking you forever and getting stuck with it, more power to you. There's going to be some students who are able to go ahead and pull that off. Awesome. Phenomenal. Okay. But for those students who are getting overwhelmed by this is something that you need to remember. Okay. Is that for right now, you just need to get something on paper. You need to get something done when it comes to identifying the pain of your market. Okay. So the question is this: what is the number one priority for beginners and newbies? Say it out loud with me. To get into momentum, to get traction, and to take massive action. Okay. So if that is the number one priority, which it is, so then the question is, if going too deep on the market research overwhelms you and gets you stuck, then what do you need to do? You need to just do as much as possible and keep on moving. You hear me? Do as much as possible and keep on moving. Huh? Coach Yasin, what are you saying? Now hold on just 1 second, okay? I did not just say skip this. That's not what I said. What we're saying is that we need you to be able to understand what it is that we're saying in context. We can't have you going blue screen of death, limbic mode on us, right? That's the reason we call them limbic laloos. We can't have you doing that, right? And so what we want you to do is you want you to be able to do what is the best according to what is possible. And then ultimately you want to be able to work on your becoming journal to increase your work capacity and your thinking capacity, so that way you don't get overwhelmed so easily, okay? So what you want to do is you want to do what is reasonable, that is going to allow you to be able to get going, and then slowly you want to be able to add more to your plate and be able to do more market research over time. This is not going to be a one-time project. This is going to be something you come back to over and over and over again, not just for days, not just for months, but for literally years in your career. You're going to be coming back to this exact same document, this exact same asset, this exact same resource. This is what we're talking about, okay? And so our own marketing research document, we literally have been going back to it regularly after so many years. And so just remember the iterative cycle, right? You're starting out, You got a version 1.0, and then you just get something on paper and you just keep on building. You just keep on building. You just keep on building. Okay. So all great things, all big things started off small and scrappy, because how silly would it be for a crawling baby to say, oh man, I'm struggling walking. I'm going to compare myself to that 5-year-old who's all running around in the playground. It would be silly, right? And so at the same time, you don't want to compare yourself to anybody else. You want to increase your work capacity, understand who your version 1.0 self is right now, and work on increasing that processing capacity, increasing that thinking capacity, so that way you can add more and more and more to your plate as you go along. And so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been this specific section in the training, step number 2, which is pain research using the marketplace. Go out there and do the action steps. Go out there and absolutely put in the dang work so you can be successful. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns related to this section in the training or anything discussed, please make sure you go ahead and let us know inside of the student community using the comment section down below. That allows everything to stay organized when you use the comment section down below, so everything for this training stays underneath this training. So with that being said, this is Coach Yasin checking out, and I will catch you inside of the next training. All right, team, let's go ahead and talk about the action steps for the pain training. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So action step number 1, of course, is going to be to go ahead and watch and study all of the trainings in full. Remember, there are multiple sections inside of the training. So unlike it was in certification where the training was just one massive training, inside of the 100K income and business training, we've actually gone ahead and split these out into multiple sections. So that way they are more tactical and digestible. So make sure you go ahead and watch and study all of those trainings. Now, specifically when it comes to the pain training, action step number 2 is that you want to go ahead and complete your pain research hypothesis using artificial intelligence. Okay, that was step number 1, and you want to follow all of the instructions that are located inside of the actual training. Action step number 3 is to go ahead and complete your pain research hypothesis using your marketplace swipe file, and that was step number 2 of the entire process, and we go over all of those steps in detail inside of the actual training, so you want to make sure you go ahead and complete that. And then action step number 4 is to go ahead and complete the pain worksheet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut over to a quick mini training that is going to go ahead and explain what the pain worksheet is. And even if you decide not to use the exact Google document that we provide, it is going to go ahead and give you an idea of how you want to kind of create a one-pager, and that one-pager kind of summarizes all of your pain research and everything that was going on, so that way you have it all put together. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut over to that quick mini training right now. All right, welcome to this quick mini training about the Dream Clients Pain Worksheet. Again, we've talked about this a gazillion and 2 times, but remember, you do not have to use this exact worksheet. The bottom line is that you just want to have a one-pager that summarizes all of the work that you've done with your pain hypothesis, so that way it's easy not only for you to be able to reference, but it's also very easy for you to be able to go back and look at that, and it's very easy for you to be able to then actually utilize. If you have like a gazillion different pages from all of your research, which is good, you need all of that. You want to keep all that. Don't just delete all of that just because you went ahead and created this one pager, but you want to be able to have something that's easy for you to be able to reference whenever you are going out there and you're about to, create some content for your community, a guide, an asset. You want to be able to create an ad, whatever it is. This is going to allow you to be able to tap into that. Okay, so what does this worksheet look like? Number 1, very, very simple. Hey, what are some of the painful problems? You want to go ahead and have a summarized list of that. Okay, again, not like a massive brain dump. We've already done all the massive brain dump somewhere else. We're talking about like, hey, put the top 10, put the top 5, put the top 3, right? Whatever it is, you want to summarize that right here, right? When it comes to the pain points, what are some of the terms and the jargon that your market is using when it comes to identifying and addressing and communicating their pain points? Because remember, there's a totally different thing when somebody says, hey, I'm overweight, or I'm obese, or I have health problems, right? Even though all 3 of those are kind of similar, it's how you identify them, right? How the market identifies them and the words that you use, because remember, words are just labeled thoughts. So how you speak and the words that you use is how you think. And so if you want to be able to speak to somebody else, you need to be able to speak in the language that they are familiar with. And so that's what we're talking about with terms and jargon. And then you want to go ahead and have a dump. Hey, what are all of the things that they have already tried in order to actually get out of their pain points, right? All of those things are what you want to go ahead and put down inside of this. You want to summarize this right here, okay? And then finally over here we have is the pain web, right? We want to go ahead and attach this to the other areas of their life and how this problem is affecting other areas of their life. Sometimes this is the most difficult part for people and students to actually summarize, but it is the most valuable because you're now actually increasing the value of your program and what it is that you offer in the transformation because you've connected the solution of the main problem you help with to other areas of life. And so the value of what it is that you provide actually goes up. So, hey, what's the sub area of life, right? There's a gazillion of them you can come up with. And then how is the main problem that you help solve actually impacting that sub area, okay? And you want to go ahead and do this for as many kind of sub areas that would be helpful for you, okay? So all of this is very important to understand, but here's the other thing about this. This is not only the one-pager stuff that you could put together. You want to basically understand the concept, okay? And then if these are helpful for you, awesome. If they're not helpful for you, no problem. What you want to do though, is you just want to make sure that you have something that is a summarized version that you can easily refer back to. So you want to be able to go ahead and create your own template too. By all means, go ahead and do so. You have 100% permission to do so. Okay, so that is the pain worksheet, one pager, how that looks, how all of that works together. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and cut back over to the action steps so we can go ahead and talk about how to be able to actually submit this in the proper template. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. All right, welcome from that quick mini training that was explaining the pain worksheet. Again, you do not have to use that exact document, but again, that is going to go ahead and allow you to understand, okay, hey, I'm kind of summarizing in one pager, right? All of what it is that I have going on. So that way it's very easily accessible and resourceful for me, right? So even if you decide to do that in ClickUp or, any other software tool that you decide to use, it is going to be a resource for you, okay? Next up, action step number 5 is you're actually going to go ahead and do a pain work submission. And the reason why this is so important to do properly in the way that we talk to you about it in just a second, using the template that we provide, is because it's going to allow you to be able to go ahead and communicate to the coaches as well as the rest of the community exactly what your submission looks like. Okay, so what's going to happen is that underneath this exact training, there is going to be a box in order to comment. Now, when you get to that box, okay, automatically when you click inside of that box, whenever you click inside of any comment box that is underneath a training inside of the school platform, it is automatically going to put a hashtag for the exact training that you are commenting on. Now, this is helpful because it allows everything to stay organized. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and put your cursor on the left side of that hashtag, and you're just going to hit enter a bunch of times. And so that hashtag is going to go ahead and move down, and then that's going to allow you the space now to go ahead and create your submission the way that we're going to talk about it in just a second. Now, after that, what is going to be the title that you're going to go ahead and put on here? So the title of this specific comment is going to be pain submission, okay? And then this is what the format is going to look like for the pain submission, okay? Now, we are also going to go ahead and include in the description underneath these action steps this exact template, so that way you can go ahead and copy and paste it. But again, you don't want to be a remote control student, just copy and paste without actually understanding what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and explain to you the template so that way you can understand how to submit this properly, okay? So this template is divided into 2 halves, just like most of the action steps that we've talked about in the past, like it was for the people. If you have any questions or things that you are struggling with, you are going to go ahead and be able to ask those at the top half. So, hey, RW family, I'm struggling with the potential solutions that I have come up with are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. Out of these number of solutions, which one do you guys think would be best? Remember, this is the etiquette of how to actually ask empowered questions rather than being a lazy question asker, okay? Then the second half is going to be the actual submission here. And so this is going to be, hey, completed my pain worksheet. Here's the link. My major pain points of my market are, going to go ahead and fill that in there, right? And then I completed this pain research using both AI and marketplace swipe file. So you want to include this line so that way we know that you actually went ahead and completed it properly. And then you want to also go ahead and include your thoughts. So if you remember back in certification, you should be like, hey, what were your thoughts on this training? How was, what were your biggest takeaways? What did you get out of this training? That's what you're going to go ahead and include right here. Okay, so this is the template. This is what you're going to be utilizing, and we want to be able to see this word for word, properly organized. And then of course the training hashtag, you're going to go ahead and leave that alone, and you're going to leave that right there. Okay, now a couple points on here is that if you don't have any questions or you're not struggling with anything, you do not have to include this part, but you do want to make sure that you go ahead and include this part. This is going going to be absolutely critical, okay? The other point is that if you're not using Google Docs and you're not submitting a link using a Google Docs, that's fine. You do not have to use the Google Docs worksheet like we talked about earlier. However, you do want to make sure that whatever platform you did complete your pain worksheet on, whatever platform that one pager is on, you want to go ahead and find a share link for that, if that's ClickUp, if it's whatever, and you want to make sure that you've set that share link to public, so that way we are able to go ahead and see that one pager that you have organized. All of this is going to be very important for you to be able to follow step by step, okay? So the biggest thing on here, as soon as you learn to be organized, conscious, and deliberate in your writing, it's going to allow you to be able to be more successful overall, because one of the things that we firmly believe, which is 100% true, is that the more organized you are in your writing and in your talking, the more organized you are in your thinking, because your writing and your talking is just the expression of what is going on in your mind. And so we can tell all the time whenever we get those support tickets from students who are literally just having a massive blob of just like random one paragraph. It's like, man, you got to organize your thoughts, right? Use spaces, use number points, right? Use 1, 2, 3, 4. Organize your thinking and your writing and your speaking, so that way you are able to think more clearly, okay? So this can be very important to make sure that you are following the format, so that way it is something that is easy for the other students and the coaches to be able to provide you feedback on, okay? Couple quick tutorial points on here. Of course, you want to make sure that you are using hyperlinks if you are going to go ahead and be linking something. So there is a tutorial on there, step 1, step 2, step 3. Make sure you are using hyperlinks. If you are going to be using Google links or any other platform, you want to make sure that you actually navigate the permissions for that document. Don't hyperlink a Google document and you haven't changed the permissions, because it's annoying, because then the coaches or anybody else in the community, right, the other amazingly smart students who want to be able to help you and provide you feedback, well, they got to request permission of it, and then that wastes time, and then you might not be able to get the feedback because you missed their opportunity to be able to get the feedback. And so you want to make sure before you actually create that submission, you've gone ahead and changed the permissions on that, okay? Really quickly, let's go ahead and beat the dead horse unicorn and talk about the 3 rules when it comes to learning in a community. Number 1 is how to ask for feedback. Number 2, this is a community, not a bunch of gurus, okay? And number 3, it's a two-way street. Ask one, give one. Very important. When you ask for feedback, make sure it is from an empowered asking standpoint. It's not, hey, I'm just looking for feedback, thoughts, and comments. That is not helpful. What you want to do is you want to be specific. I am struggling with the potential solutions that I have already come up with are, okay, that way you've already gone ahead and done the resources and you've already gone ahead and done the research for this. You've thought about this. And then out of those 3, guys, community, coaches, whoever it is out there, right? Go ahead and give me your thoughts on which of these 3 you think would be best. That shows that you went ahead and did the work, rather than it just being like, hey, give me your thoughts and feedback. That just ends up wasting everybody's time. And then if you don't have any questions, if you're not struggling, you can just straight up say, hey, I'm just sharing. I don't have any questions, no struggles. Thank you very much. So that way everybody knows, like, cool, everybody's time can be saved on that. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 on here, okay? This is a community, not gurus. And so what you are doing when you are asking, okay, from an empowered state, is you're not just asking the coaches, you're asking the entire community, because there are some really, really, really smart members inside of this community who know just as much, if not even more insight for your specific situation than even the coaches, okay? So make sure that you are opening that conversation for the entire community and not just the coaches, because remember, this is the reason why this is a mastermind and a community, because the power is in the community, okay? And then rule number 3 is that it is a two-way street. Ask one, give one. When you give people feel indebted to you, so they will want to help you. That is how it works. And so if you do end up asking from an empowered state and you are asking the community, make sure that you ask one and then you give one. So let's say you ask something. Well, guess what? Go ahead and take a second, find somebody else who needs your insight and needs your input, and go ahead and give your 2 cents and give your input, okay? So, hey, it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden are saying, I know all the answers. All it means is that, hey, this is my 2 cents, this is my input, I'm just sharing, okay? And so those are the 3 rules on how to learn from a community. Just want to go ahead and remind you for that, because humans need to be reminded more than they need to be taught, okay? So those are the action steps when it comes to the pain training. Make sure you go out there and absolutely crush it. Looking forward to seeing your submissions inside of the student community. With that being said, this is Coach Yasin, and I will catch you on the next training.